In this video, we're going to show you how we're using Conduit to download client files from an SFTP site and load them into FACS. We'll load the data using two methods, one by way of enable and another using a map and our connector to the FACS environment. First, let's execute an enable to load data. Of course, we've got to download the file from the SFTP and register our file within Conduit. From there, we can decrypt it, unzip the zip file, and do some pre-processing on our file to remove the header record that exists. The header record will cause the enable to load incorrectly. From there, we'll execute our enable and we'll save off the spool file for record keeping. Let's go ahead and kick this off. While that's running, we can open our folder and see that a folder was created with today's date. Within that folder, we also have the data that was downloaded, the decrypted zip file, the unzipped file, and the clean version. Furthermore, we have the spool doc. Let's go ahead and log into FACS and take a look. In FACS, if I go in and look at my enable batch, I should see two accounts. This should line up with the clean file that resulted from our preprocessor. Additionally, we can take a look at the spool file and ensure that the data was loaded as expected. Alternatively, we can use a map. We'll do the same file handling where we download the file, decrypt it, unzip it, but instead of pre-processing the file, we'll process the file and create a mapping to load the data directly in the FACS. For the purposes of this example, I only have a handful of fields mapped. However, I do want to highlight that we can pull in user-defined windows as well to map to as a part of our interface. Let's go ahead and kick this off. If I go into my other folder for my map, I should see a folder here with today's date along with the files in it that were created as a part of our processing. Again, we download the PGP file, archive the zip file, and show the placements file, which in this case is a CSV file that needs to be loaded directly into FACS. Upon completion of loading, we can again pull up FACS and check out our new business batch. In this case, we loaded 100 accounts into the system without using enable. Instead, we used our map. To take this a step further, let me show you how we construct that map. I'm going to go in and define the source. I'm going to tell it that it's a delimited file, and I'll use the sample file that we loaded directly into FACS. From here, I will use the map editor to define that I want to write to a FACS target, and in this case, I want to do new business. We'll connect this to our FACS namespace so we can pull in the appropriate globals to load data directly into the system. From here, it becomes a drag and drop exercise where users can go ahead and add additional logic using code to ensure that business rules are followed and data is transformed so it can be loaded appropriately into the system. Furthermore, I can hop over to the command center and take a look at the runs that we executed. I can see that I executed two processes successfully, one using enable and one using a map. In both cases, when I log in, I can see all the steps that we're taking to get the data into the system, as well as the registry of files that were loaded. Conduit can be used to do all of your file handling or just the load of data into the system. External systems can leverage our API endpoints to kick off any processes that have been configured to plug into your existing ecosystems. With Conduit, Emprise is changing the game when it comes to integration and automation inside the ARM industry. Please check out some of our other videos or get in touch if you have any questions.